Hey everyone, I'm John O'Neill, stage manager of Little Women at Asheville Community Theater. Today I sat down with two of the three guys in the cast and we talked about their characters, their relationship with the March sisters, and what it's like playing a romantic scene when not in the same room as your scene partner. Enjoy the interview.
My name is Maxwell Roberts. I am playing the role of Laurie.
And my name is Dillon Giles, and I'm playing the role of John Brooke.
Great first name. That is a great first name.
I'm sure, John.
Except nobody calls you that really in the show. Thanks for being here with me today, guys. I'm just going to jump right into the question. So what do you think it is about the March sisters that makes your characters so enamored with them?
You can go ahead, Maxwell.
Okay. I think for Laurie, they have a very strong family dynamic that he didn't get to experience as much as he wanted to. He's made a couple remarks throughout the show about how the home seems very lively and fun and kind of like a picture. And so I think the dynamic that they have as a big happy family with a lot of people and a lot of love is something that really pulls him in, as well as with Jo specifically. She doesn't like the rules too much, the rules of society and what ladies are supposed to behave like. And I don't think Laurie does either. I think he's been kind of forced into this mold of higher society by his grandfather. And so I think just all of that combined is very enticing. And then with Amy, she's got a little bit of that Spitfire too that he liked so much in Jo. And so I think just really all around that family is where Laurie needed to be.
I definitely think for Brooke, it boils down to a lot of, since he is a poorer folk from the community, and he's in that weird, he's not old, but he's not very young. So there aren't a lot of children in his age, and there aren't a lot of older women that would want him. So when he finally sees Meg, who's like an older sister, and she's about to that age of starting to look for a man, he's immediately excited by that. But then the fact that he does come from a poor background, I imagine he's probably thought, the rich people are kind of snooty and the rich people don't, they're not as friendly as you think. And then he runs into this family of, outgoing, exciting, just like a loving, caring, fun family. And he's so, like, whoa, that's not what I'd expect. And so he immediately thinks this would be a good family to get into and a good way to, of course, as a poor person at the time, he wouldn't be fine with raising his standard in life, I'm sure. So I think there's a lot of that just played in all at once. And then when it turns out he actually clicked with Meg, there's you can play with that more.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a little for those watching, there may be a little bit of spoiler alerts within these questions, but I feel like we've all had plenty of time to, read Little Women or watch the movie, either version. So both of your characters marry into the March family. How quickly do you two think that it took Marmee and Father to be okay with you two courting their daughters? I mean, I presume both of you asked Father to for their hand in marriage. Do you think there was any pause within the mother and father of the March girls to letting you into their family?
I think there was more of a pause with Brooke. Obviously, Laurie was kind of, once he came into the picture, he was very in the picture and kind of all in the family and hanging out with all the daughters. But Brooke wasn't so much, and maybe they were wary because he was older and such. But they also, knew Meg was going to be the first one to marry, and Laurie and her didn't have any connection in that way. So I feel like there's more of a pause there, but I feel like they definitely took to you, Laurie. They took right in.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I kind of made my way into that family pretty quick and then stayed there. And there are so many parts in the book that I wish were in the script, like just so many bonding moments between Laurie and the girls. They have this whole secret society and they do all this fun stuff together. So you really get to see that relationship kind of build. But I think a combination of Laurie just being this lovable energy and this friend to all the sisters mixed with the generosity of his grandfather and the welcoming energy of his grandfather as well. I think both played into that. I think Laurie maybe only would have asked permission, like as a formality, but they weren't going to say no, you know?
Right. Yeah. I don't think they were going to, I really don't think they would have said no to either one of you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, well, and especially after you're helping with, with the whole of doing everything you can to be there with Mari, with father and stuff like that. So I think that really helped. This one is just for Laurie. So Laurie, in the end, do you think that you were still in love with Joe?
That's a tricky one to answer. But I think, and you might call this a cop-out answer, but I think yes, but in a different way. And I really do think it's possible for your love for people to change. And I think Joe is a very specific type of person, and I think that played a role in why Laurie was so attracted to her. And of course, reading the book and seeing the movie and the play, you like really want them to be together. But I think Joe's too independent for that. And I think it makes sense that Laurie's love shifts. So I think, yes, he still loves her, but it breaks my heart, but I think he only loves her as friends at the end, and that he really does love Amy. Because that's another part that they left out of the script in the book, that you get to see Laurie and Amy really coming together, and you get to see that relationship build. And unfortunately, we don't get to see a lot of that in this production, but I think yes and no.
I wouldn't call that a cop-out answer. That's a good answer. Going back to a question for both of you. So both of you have scenes where you connect romantically with the people within the show. How has it been as actors doing those one-on-one, more intimate scenes without being in the same room, now that we have moved to doing it virtually?
Well, I gotta say specifically, there's one scene that has been my favorite throughout this entire process. And I think it's Act 2, Scene 2. It's Laurie's proposal situation. And being in the same room throughout the entire process is, it's going to feel a lot better than being in your own home behind a screen. But I think there's so much energy in that scene regardless. I can almost feel it coming through the screen a little bit. Virginia's amazing, and I've been able to connect with her through the screen in almost the same way that I would have otherwise, which is like, I don't feel like we're cheating that scene at all the way that we're doing it now. Obviously, I would love for it to be on stage, but I feel like the energy is there, and all the love and the tension and all that stuff. I feel like it still comes through, I think.
I think as far as the scenes with myself and Meg, they rely a lot more, especially in our one scene where we really realize our feelings for each other. It's physical, with me like following her around and all of that happening and like trying to get the answer out of her. And that's really hard to portray on a screen. But I think the biggest help was that the fact that we did get to run it before we came on here, how it would have worked and how it was, which really helps you portray that emotion more specifically through your face and your upper body movements in the screen, and lets us have, like Cook says, we can remember that connection we had while we were on stage, and it helps us bring that on here, since it is such a, I run out of the room and then I run back in and I'm like, oh, it's just all very meant to be on stage, so it's hard to put it in here. But I think having that early work on it really helps us connect through here.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think, obviously, I don't think we had enough time on the stage in the rehearsal process, but I think we did have an adequate amount to kind of build those relationships and connections. And we got to run through the whole show in various parts, I think twice. So there was enough foundational work to be able to bring it on here a little bit more easily, which I was thankful for.
Yeah, and in both of those scenes that you all are talking about, it's one of the few times where I don't necessarily have to do all the, the technical stuff back behind the scenes. So I do get to just watch both of those scenes, and they're both just wonderful to watch between you and your scene partners. And so moving on to the last question, and it's the question I'm asking everybody. What is your favorite line of the show? It can be one of yours, it can be somebody else's, but what is your favorite line of the show?
Ooh,
That's a hard one. That's tough.
that is tough. There's a lot of good moments in the show.
It can be one or two if you want to cheat.
I don't know if this is my actual answer, but I love when Jo says she can't get over her disappointment in not being a boy, because I think that's probably one of the most raw and revealing lines about the character of Jo that I don't think was explored the way that it could have been because of the time period. But I think, I've seen a lot of posts and stuff when I was doing my research for the show about, maybe Jo being a trans man or Jo being a lesbian, that kind of thing. And it's really interesting. And I think it's one of her more vulnerable lines about her character. So I'll say that one, and I'll think about another.
Personally, I like when Jo is trying to talk Meg out of loving me and informs her that I'm a writer. I definitely know what love is. You're clearly not in love. You sleep well. You're eating fine. You're definitely not in love. Like, that whole little line cracks me up every time. And the show doesn't have, huge amounts of humor, but when you do have it and it's like really snarky and smooth like that, gets me every time. I love it. That and every line Miss Gardner says. Just all of Miss Gardner's lines are primo.
Well, Leslie's amazing the way that she delivers those. It's so much fun to watch. I think my other one might be kind of like a set at the end when Aunt March comes in after Europe, and she's like, "It was so foreign. No one was speaking English." That whole I just think it's so fun.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my personal favorite one is where it says, "John, you're right," and so
Okay, well,
or something along those lines.
I'm not shocked.
And I always roll my eyes when Joe's like, "What kind of name is John?" or whatever that line is. I get so angry. So, well, guys, thank you so much for sitting down with me, and wave goodbye to the audience. And we will see everybody when you see the show.
Hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.